Okay, so this is the last where we left off last time, and we put this blue background like a mat here, and then the main everything stayed in here. So now we're ready to go ahead and add some more HTML and CSS to the page. So the first thing we're going to do is, well, the first thing I'm going to do is going to show you I actually changed some things. Okay, so in the template I had made an error, and in fact I'm going to fix it here. This is how I left it in the last video, but actually the H1 is going to be above the header. This is going to be its own container. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this and put it right after main. So we want the H1 to be above the header, not inside the header. The header is going to be blank, and we're going to put a picture in there. Alright, so now the next thing we're going to do is add that picture. So there's nothing in the header container, but we're going to go ahead and format that, and it'll look like there's something inside that header container. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do for the header is we're going to type in the selector, and then we're going to give it a specific height, because right now it has 0 height because there's nothing in it. So we're going to make it 250 pixels, and then we're going to add a background image. And the background image is in images and then header. I didn't have this in there from the last video. I added it. You have to right mouse click and save it into your images folder from the web page, and then you'll have it. Alright, so how we call a picture is we give it a URL, and of course this could be actually a picture somewhere else on the internet, but since it's on our server, what we're going to do is we're going to do images / header.jpg. Alright, so that is the name of the file, and that file is inside the images folder. So we tell it go into images and display this file. Alright, so we'll do file, save all, and then we will refresh. And there it is. So now the H1 is above that, and here that is. Now the issue comes in, let's see if we can make this big enough. Come on. Chrome is a pain in the neck sometimes. Alright, so you can almost see it right here. If this gets wide enough, and this is on my laptop, but if I had it on a 21 or 23 inch monitor, it would repeat right here. And what I really wanted to do is I wanted to cover the entire thing. I wanted to actually stretch out. But this is a pretty big picture, so even on a 23 inch monitor, stretching won't pixelate it. I would even think on a 50 inch TV it would not pixelate too much. So that's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to tell it that I don't want it to repeat. I want it to cover the entire area. So let's go back into Sublime Text. From the semicolon it's into here. And then here we're going to tell it what the background size is. And I can give it a specific pixels or something like that. But what we're going to say is I want it to cover. And now it's going to go ahead and not repeat. So I do File, and then Save All. Come back here and refresh. See that if I move it out, no matter how much I stretch it, it is still going to fit. It's not going to repeat itself. It's just going to stretch out. Alright, and this thing I'm going to do is I need to format that H1 because it's stuck in this top right corner. Alright, so we're going to have H1, and actually it will impact all H1s on the page, but we only have one, and you really should only have one H1, and that is the supreme header of the page, and that's for SEO purposes. So if I do padding, I'm going to do 10 pixels, and since I didn't say padding left padding top, bottom, right, left, it's going to give 10 pixels around the entire one. Really doesn't impact. It only impacts the left and the top. Okay, and then I want to make it a little bigger, so we're going to do font size. And there it is. And I'm going to make it 2.5 EM. So EM is the normal size, so like the L in Lorem, actually this M right here. And we want 2.5 times that size. Now, by default, an H1 is 2 times the size, so we're really just making it an extra half size larger. So EM is just the size of an M, is what it is. And then I'm going to move the picture down away from Trident by increasing the margin on the bottom. So I'll do margin, bottom, and I'm going to make that 5 pixels. Alright, let's see how that changes our H1. We'll save all, and then refresh, and you can see when I moved it 10 pixels all around, it ended up being a little bit too close to this bottom part here, and so we added another 5 pixels, and that made it look really nice. Alright, so that is the way we're ending up, and let's go ahead and move on and do some more stuff. Okay, the next thing we want to do is this navigation, which is pretty ugly there. Alright, so let's go back and do some styles for the navigation section. So the first thing I'm going to do is, if you remember, we have a nav, and then we have a UL, and then we have LIs inside it, then we have an A inside of that. We're actually going to style the UL, the LI, and the A. So let's go ahead and do that. So the first thing I'm going to do is say that in the navigation section UL, so whenever you use nav UL, it only impacts the unordered list within the nav. We don't have any other ones, so I could have just said UL, but you want to be pretty specific so that later on when you're doing some editing, and it could be that one of the pages in the future has a unordered list somewhere in the article or in the footer or something like that, and then if we just said UL, then the styles we're doing here would impact that. Okay, the one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do margin and make it 0. And the reason for that is there's extra margin in the UL on the left hand side, and that's what pushes it over, like over here. And then I'm going to add some padding. Just padding, not padding top. And for that, I want to do 5 pixels up and down, and then 0 left and right. So, okay, and that's just to push it down a little bit from the top, from that picture on the top. And the next thing I want to do is get rid of those dots. So I'm going to do list style, and then just say none, and that will get rid of those. And we'll do file, save all, and then refresh. And you can see now they're over there. So, but you can see we added a little bit of, it's not quite touching up here like it would have, except we have that top padding, top and bottom. All right, looking a little bit better, but we still have a lot more to do. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and style the line items within that. So we're going to say nav UL LI. Again, this is targeting, specifying only the LIs that are inside a UL that are inside the nav. We could have actually said nav LI because there's no, say, ordered list in there either. But I like to be specific. Okay, what we're going to do is we want to display it block. And the reason for now that's we want to display this inline block. So inline block allows us to add margin and padding above and below, whereas an inline element would not allow us to do that. So it gives a block characteristics but doesn't take up the entire line. So now if I do file, save all, and then refresh, you can see that they're side by side. Okay, and the other thing I want to do is increase the width. So we're going to make them 100 pixels in width because we don't want them right next to each other. Save all and then refresh. And you can see now they're moved away from each other. You can see that since they're 100 pixels each, but membership is a lot more text, so it's taking up a bigger part of that box. And it looks like we're at our 10-minute point. So we're going to have to save this and then move on in the next video.